So we will now, let me pull up my agenda again. Move on to public comment.
Welcome to the first scheduled board meeting since we found out that our administration was planning to unlawfully underserve our children. We've heard today, like, a lot of things from a lot of people. We heard a grandpa talking about kids being removed from classrooms and being sent to what felt to him like a jail.
My grandson goes to one of your schools. He's a hyperlexic autistic child. He is the most lovable being in the world. This year, because it changes teachers, I don't know what, there's been a change in his whole IEP. They are overly sensitive, hypersensitive to things. And the use of aversion therapy or ABA therapy, and this is a study done by the American Medical Association 17 years ago. It causes severe PTSD in them when they become in their formative teenage years and in their early 20s. My grandson's been coming home with bruises, and I'm not trying to be specific about everything. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what's going on, but there needs to be a change. They have an isolation room. They've been putting these children in. I've met almost all the children in his class. None of them are aggressive like that. It's a jail cell, and they're putting them in there. There's a chair and a rug, and locking these children in there. That is almost abuse.
I've seen my kid have classmates like that. When classes are big enough, you just don't have the bandwidth to give kids what they need. And let's be clear, a part of the educational experience that kids need is community. You can't have it in a room by yourself. We've heard about unexplained exclusions from trips.
I received a letter about the Black History Month event, field trip that happened at the Lead Center in regards to the civil rights music and the meaning behind it, which I think is very important. It's not like a fun field trip like, Legoland. It's an educational trip. My son was not suspended at that time. I got a letter the day before, me and his dad, that our son is not allowed to attend.
A litany of unresponsive administrators.
Basically, problems with IEPs not being followed, a health plan being violated, and when I tried to get help, I was ignored.
But hey, we're going to have 2 more that won't answer your emails, so stick in there. We've heard about how data tells us that teachers are the most important thing and that principals supporting those teachers is elemental.
This is not helping teacher retention and satisfaction. This is not students at the center. We have to repair the schedule, and I don't know the high school experience, so maybe it's just as bad there, I'm not sure.
But apparently this district believes in economic trickle-down because they think that hiring administrators will end up somehow getting resources to the classroom. Still hasn't been explained exactly how they're going to do that. And then we hear about how the underfunding is worse than we thought, right? The underfunding from this legislature that you're being slaves to, even though you don't swear an oath to the legislature. You swear an oath to the Constitution. A parent has stood in this very place and told you if they're underfunding special ed, don't take from my kids' education. You guys are real good about keeping buckets separate when it's facilities and salaries, but for some reason, when it's regular ed and special ed, you can just dip all you want. And now we find out that the problem is actually worse, but we didn't even get started on fighting back. We just accepted it. It's cool, we'll just accept it. We're supposed to accept it. You look at this community and you expect us to accept it. You expect us to trust an administration that has been proven to not be able to disseminate the 2 most simple words in education, instructional time. And we're supposed to believe that somehow they're going to appropriately interpret valid request when they just come in to close more schools. We're supposed to believe that even though we lost 300 students, somewhere between $1.5 to $3 million in funding, we have more money to spend outside of the classroom. And so I remind you that we are currently USD 1455. That is how many students we have lost since this administration took over leadership. These are the stories that get told around this district. We see what you think is worth investing in. We ask you to see our children's classrooms as valuable as these offices. Did it sound like those teachers want more administrators? Did it sound like that?
I can't hide.